Welcome everyone to Brutal Breakdowns, where tonight we focus on Mortal Kombat 2021. Shout out to my man Shady J over there at the Game Chasers. Shady, I actually watched your review on this Mortal Kombat 2021, and there was something you said, and I actually pulled a clip from your video that made me want to go back and rewatch this film and do a review on it. And we'll get into that tonight on Brutal Breakdowns. You said something at the very beginning of your review that I thought was hilarious, that I'm going to play for you right here. I don't know why I thought it was funny, but when you said
R-rated movie, so parents beware if you have younger children.
That, for some reason, you reminding people that Mortal Kombat is a violent movie, it had me laughing for a long time. So I appreciate that good laugh. The clip that made me want to go, you know what? I want to go back and watch this movie.
Let's move to the actors, the casting. I think the casting was actually pretty well done.
Let me tell you what I first thought. I remember having a lot of criticisms about this movie. I only watched it once. I went and did a rewatch after I heard that. I'm like, he really liked this cast like that and thought this movie was much better. I was like, let me go do a rewatch on this and see what I see. And maybe I could shine some light on a few things for my man Shady. Because I heard you say the acting was better. To me, good acting in a Mortal Kombat film is the equivalent to being called the nicest man in prison. When we're doing a Mortal Kombat film, we got a couple other boxes to check. Because if they don't check these other boxes, the good acting will never show up. And I do remember you saying, ever since you did a movie, those kind of things pop out to you. So I'll give you that. And the acting in the first one and the cast, yeah, those guys were all replaceable, without a doubt. But I hated the cast in this film. And I'm going to go over it. Mortal Kombat 2021, you know, people would say, oh, well, is it better than the first ever film they did? My biggest problem with this film is you're so many years later from the first one. You have all the tools. You have the blueprints of ideas. Like I always said, the first movie was more of a blueprint of ideas. Very replaceable movie from the cast. You know, just, I'm not saying that this cast of actors wasn't necessarily better than that cast, because I don't know how to determine that. But the way they were presented in both films, yeah, you could replace all these characters. And I'm going to get into my problems with Mortal Kombat 2021. I remember seeing the first movie, Mortal Kombat, in a theater on opening night. You know, movie theaters were a lot bigger deal. Obviously, I remember liking the movie a lot the first night I saw it, and over time was able to see the holes. You know what I mean? I'm not one to say that movie's untouchable, because it's not. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of shit in there that pisses me off. But at the same time, that first movie was limited in ways that this one wasn't. This should have been a walk away. Yeah, this might be a better project, but with all the advancements we have had in the world of movies, and with all the do's and don'ts and screw-ups they could go from on other Mortal Kombat or fighting films, this film came across very scary to me. As in, the directors were afraid to take some chances. They thought certain storylines had to be implemented instead of simplifying a great product and great story and just taking your time. A lot of holes in this movie. And tonight on Brutal Breakdowns, you will find out why Mortal Kombat 2021 shortchanged you guys. You know, this was a very low-budgeted film, $56 million to make 86. The first one cost $20 million to make and made $100 million, $120. This one had the potential to pass that first one. They lacked at a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying go get the biggest stars in the world to play Mortal Kombat. It's all about look and the minimal lines you do give. Know how to use game references at the right time. This movie, I believe Mortal Kombat needs these three things. You need the special effects. First one was always going to be limited because of the special effects. This movie had the special effects in place to be a much better film than the first one with ease. The special effects alone in this movie, you would have thought would have been enough to keep me happy and for me to love this movie a lot more than the first one. And trust me, I truly wanted to like this film. I've always rooted for these kind of films. Let me tell you one thing this movie didn't have. And for me, it's huge. Some would call it a nitpick. I don't. I call this a must. And trust me, I listened and checked. This movie had zero music in the fight scene. No memorable fight scene music. No test your might. Mortal Kombat. None of that. Not even their own version of anything. I don't think you realize how big that is. Without the music for me, and go check scenes that have great music in them on these Mortal Kombat fights. Without the music, and I remember you don't know that until the end, you're really jumping behind the line for me to like you then. I think the music in a Mortal Kombat fight scene is like marinara sauce on a cheese stick. Could be ate without, but it tastes much better with. And I mean a lot better. If there is going to be a second movie, their build to it was poor. You said this in your review, and this was actually a good point.
And maybe this drops the grade down to a B instead of a B+. But I didn't like how almost every character announced themselves by saying their full name as if the audience didn't know who they were or wouldn't know who they were. Now, I do understand that a lot of people may not know, or at least a percentage of people may not know who these characters are. I get that. I understand that. But a lot of people going to watch this are probably fans of the game already, and
bingo, fan of the game already. That's why I thought it was funny when Jay, you were warning them that they were going to go see a violent movie. I'm going to show you how important the element is of the music being in the fight. Now watch the kick Reptile opens up with. Here's a little Easter egg. The kick and then the spin is from the game. Reptile had a different kick with the spin. Arguably best fight scene. Now, what Shady J said, the name thing. They should have took the page out of here. Did you see how when they threw him in, it said Reptile? And then it hits the music, and you're like, okay, you're ready to go. Now, obviously, special effects, this Reptile didn't look as cool as we'll get into this Reptile compared to the other one. But as you could see, these were the fight scenes that I did not get in this new one because there was no music. Go to that Scorpion Sub-Zero scene at the end. Add music to it. Watch the different element when there's music to it. Let's get into the breakdown. And I'm going to show you why this movie had a lot more holes than it came across. First of all, as you can see on the cover right here, the Mortal Kombat. One hell of a cover, ain't it? With the Scorpion and the Sub-Zero. For as long as we waited, you know, I was never a big Mortal Kombat video game guy. More of a Tekken on the video game side. Mortal Kombat was a little bit more aged. You know, this is before they done the remakes on the games, but I kind of didn't play Mortal Kombat. I was more into the movie side. I could get into the, you know, kind of old karate shit, similar to like a blood sport, shit like that I'm into, if you got a little story. But this is where this movie screwed up. Instead of going with Sub-Zero and Scorpion as the main focus, which would have been just fine. Jay, why don't you remind the people, instead of going full focus on Sub-Zero and Scorpion, who did they choose to go with?
Cole Young. You know, I gotta be honest, when I first saw a trailer, I'm like, okay, who the F is this guy?
Exactly. Who the F is this guy? Our first problems start with Cole. It's one thing to have a descendant of Scorpion, but this guy, Cole, whether that character that he played is supposed to be a great character of some sort, in some story of Mortal Kombat, it did not register in this movie. He was the Achilles crutch. We're going to get into parts where he's literally destroying the movie. Any opening scene they did, he lost his opening MMA fight scene. They start us off with Cole losing an MMA fight. We're supposed to get in this guy. The descendant of what? You can't be the descendant of legends and go down in your MMA human fight. You know what I mean? This was a movie of missed opportunities. Every interaction Cole had with his family wasted wasted the minutes that they were going to spend on this movie, I could give you better shit to do. We don't care about Cole, and we don't definitely care if he's a good fucking dad. This is Mortal Kombat. You think I give a goddamn how good of a dad Cole is? The out of nowhere character? We'll take his word for it if he's a good guy. Don't insult us with this guy. This was terrible. He loses the opening fight scene. The Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight was a great idea. Good way to start your film. Obviously, Sub-Zero is going to be a lot, probably more dangerous of a fighter because of where he's at, and Scorpion hasn't made that turn yet, whatever. My first problem with the battle was there was no music, and that was your opportunity. Put a little meaning on that fight scene. Go watch them without, and go put the music in, like I said. You will see that. I know that sounds crazy, me bringing it up. Their interaction in the fight scene, and one thing I did not like when you talk about the cast. Sub-Zero without his mask, and I know it's not something we're going to see often. I don't think he looks good without the mask. There's no need for you to be maskless there, Sub-Zero. You're already calling yourself Sub-Zero. We'll figure it out that you were younger then, somehow. Jay said he didn't like when they said the names. Sub-Zero was doing it in the only time when it made sense. And I'll tell you why, Jay, because they're doing it in this aspect. Scorpion knows his real name and probably knew him for years. Scorpion is probably just referring to him by his real name because that's what he actually calls him. Just like Sub-Zero is probably calling him by his government name. When characters make that move into being that demonic character, that's one of the things they don't like, is being called by their original name. So I think with Sub-Zero was more like, hey man, it's fucking Sub-Zero going forward, bitch. Because he's sitting here looking at his maybe once upon a time his dude, and now his dude's calling himself Sub-Zero, brainwashed, etc. Oh, spoiler alert, I don't know anybody's name. Tim, man the chat. We didn't have to go into Cole. You guys could have went with Cole. You could have just been like, he exists. Maybe a cameo. But he didn't register. He brought your movie down. When Raiden went and got the kid, have an encounter there. Make that worth something. Show Raiden. You got him on your cast. Let's use it. This movie was $56 million to make, and they only made 86. To me, they had the special effects to outdo the first one that made 100 million. That music came a long way. That gets you in. That makes you remember that Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight. Very boring with Cole. The Jack story was on point. You got a story with Jack. Because look, that opening scene when Sub-Zero goes to the city, that is a great scene. You got him out of Outworld. You get to see what Sub-Zero could do in public. I just wish he wasn't going after Cole there. Think about if he wasn't chasing Cole there. Maybe make him after Jax there. Jax is a fighter. Sonya is a tag-along. The people that wrote this movie, I don't believe they are like diehard Mortal Kombat, because the way they value Sonya, just because she was in part 1, and I'm saying part 1 video game, that original fight list, this girl didn't do nothing to catch you at all. They should have just had her in the corner. Jax's tag-along. You could have lived with that. Too much focus on Sonya being a legendary. You know what I mean? They didn't do a good job selling her in this. As I said, woman from the first one, after she killed Kano, it was like they told her to go sit in the corner. That was what you need to do here with Sonya. Or have her tag along with Jack, who's got the story. You have Sub-Zero take his arm. You have a reason for maybe Jax to want to get his get-backs. That's where this film failed at. Jax, in the end, didn't want to go get his get-backs against Sub-Zero. I'm not saying you have Jax take out Sub-Zero, but you let him get some kind of get-back to him, where they're in a fight scene and he at least looks good in the scene. It ends with both of them not dying. But that opening scene with Jax was good. Sonya and Cole, they butted heads. They slowed this movie down. You know what I mean? Especially when you were bringing out a lot of more. You were bringing out the big guns here. Reptile, that scene, I'm going to bring that fight scene. I liked a lot of elements of this Reptile. The only thing I would change, you saw the fight scene we were just watching with Liu Kang. I would take the head from this Reptile that's got the ninja-looking mask, but the little lizard opening in the front. You know, make it CGI or something, whatever you got to do with some special effects, similar to the Sub-Zero. And I would have put that head on the lizard. The problem with that fight scene, and this is where this movie started with missing the ball early. Think about this. Kano's tied up. Why is Kano's opening scene, to put it in my own words, the actor that played Kano really brought an element that brought life into his character. Where not only did he own the role, he felt like he was Kano by the end. Where if this was a tryout movie to see who's coming to part 2 or who's coming to Mortal Kombat, you could make the argument that he was the only one that truly earned being the character he was set to play. Easily replace everybody, if you ask me. You'll learn more in my breakdown why. He truly earned his stripes to go forward. They let him down in the opening scene by having him tied up. No explanation. Maybe I missed it. And I will say to that, there is an explanation for it. I'm still not with it. Still bad idea. Here's a guy that not only came to play, the only really true actor that caught your attention with his character. Be somebody that you want to see in more situations possibly. But the directors decided to have his opening scene tied up. A guy that we're going to be talking about being the Black Dragon, and they're talking about all that and how bad he is. Why are we not opening up a scene with giving us a quick preview of what makes Kano Kano? Instead, the writers that are very lazy in this movie, they decided to have him tied up. Yeah, it was cool to have him take on Reptile. Don't get me wrong. I want a better opening for a character that not only deserves it, and the fans are already behind him. At times, the Sonya and Kano rival didn't really feel like a rival. Like, think about after the fight between Reptile, had them go at it and then separate. Because at times, Kano and Sonya felt like just brother and sister that literally fist fought. Not only after the Reptile incident, Sonya's just like, well, we'll give you $3 million to put us to ratings, which was never fully explained why Sonya wanted to team up with Kano. I never got that. I know there's probably some explanation, but when you consider that they were about to bring these motherfuckers in the desert, him and Sonya get into a little argument, of course they get into a little fight. Who was on top at the end of that fight? Sonya. For whatever reason, they make her always have one step up on him. He's either tied up or she gets him at the end. She didn't become Sonya like the actor that played Kano became Kano. He deserved an opening there. Give it to him. You didn't do shit with the Sonya rival. You had them walking around. Like Kano, the most dangerous man on the planet, is supposed to believe that he's getting $3 million from Sonya instead of just having them separate there and be enemies. Remember in the other movies where Sonya's always like, where's Kano? Didn't really look like Kano bothered her too much. It just looked like when they were around each other, he was there. She never looked scared of him. That character didn't deserve that. If anything, he deserved to be one up on Sonya. So kudos to that guy. But that's an example of becoming your character, really making it hard for you to be replaced, as far as I'm concerned. Jay, when you said this, you're absolutely right.
Mainly in Kano's role, who was actually probably my favorite character in the movie. He was I think the Kano we expected.
The bottom line is if Kano, which was the best character here, in a Mortal Kombat film that features Shang Tsung's a good Scorpion, a good Sub-Zero, Kung Lao, if Kano is a majority of the fans' favorite in the film, then I'm not thinking the film's gonna do too well. You need to hit on other characters. The majority can't be saying Kano. His presence and his ability will bring up that lower tier when you got the top guys doing their thing. Kano, quick opportunity. Kano puts his wrist through Reptile, pulls his heart out. What does the idiot say? Or what does the dumbass writer have him say? Kano win. Why would you have him say Kano wins right there? That's a goddamn fatality. It's a well-known one. Why wouldn't you figure out a way in some kind of graphic in that scene to possibly add a finish him of some sort, not said by the actor? I would have did it like this. When he takes the heart out, as he's taking the heart out, you have some graphic play the fatality. You know what I mean? You have him punch through the heart. Hit him with one of these. As he's pulling it out, you hit him with the fatality. You either have Kano say it, or you have the game voice say it. One of them of your choice. But why would you have him say Kano wins? Kano wins. No, that was your opportunity to get the fans on it. No music in that opening scene. You're fighting against the grain when you don't add music. Then Sonya, even though she wasn't being serious, goes, Kano, I'll give you $3 million to exactly do what? Speaking of Cole, we're supposed to get into this guy to descend the Scorpion. He goes to meet Sonya. She throws him on the ground and is like, boom, 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 piecing him up where he's like this. Yeah, Jack sent me. Are you sick? Think about what you're about to have this guy doing later in the movie, and he's getting pieced up by Sonya. He's like, Cole is killing your movie. No one's gonna get into this guy. If he is a good character in the grand scheme of things, in the lore of Mortal Kombat, like Angry Joe would say, then they're not hitting, this unit isn't implementing them well. They're implementing them at their film detriment. You have Kano team up with them to go to the desert to look for Raiden. Come on, man. We're going to be walking through the desert. We already started with Kano tied up. They get into a little scuffle, him and Sonya literally fucking makes him tap out or some phony shit. What movie? What? That's not making us like Sonya more. Kano's your best character right now, and every opportunity this guy is around Sonya, who's nothing special, not getting you with her character at all, no development, is piecing him up, getting these dumb scenes, says I'll give him $3 million. Why is Kano teaming up with them there? The Outworld needs to be coming to recruit him. Shang Tsung and them. I mean, maybe have Cabal with their little thing. Have a little something there instead of walking through deserts and shit. The Jax actor. The Jax story was great. The actor, whether it was the writers, whether it was Jax, feel like he's replaceable. I know they were going to spend no big money on this. I would have got the black dude that played the original Spawn, or the guy that played Nick Gage, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao. Their little opening scene, which was a big problem for me. I'm not some giant fanboy, but I know Kung Lao's a bad dude. I remember him from Mortal Kombat 2. We haven't really seen him in a movie, but they need to get some guys that got more of a punch in them. There was no meaningful fight scene. The builds were sloppy. I thought we were preparing for the Mortal Kombat in the next movie. I would add when Sub-Zero took off Jax's arms, that's another time we could have Raiden do something. Because he ended up at Raiden's lair in a bed. Jax, why don't you have Raiden come to save him? Their misuse of Raiden, awful. The guy from the head up looked fine. Got to figure out how to get the electric in the hat more, with more of a glow. You know what I mean? That's a must. Liu Kang and Kung Lao, they look like cosplayers. They look like two guys dressing up as Liu Kang and Kung Lao in a goddamn costume party. That is the one place where the first movie was a winner, was Liu Kang. That guy might have not have been the great acting, you know what I mean? But who knows how much acting he told him to do. But the look he had, the hairdo, that guy from number one all day compared to this guy. It looked like they were casting the 20-year-old version of Liu Kang. I'm like, wow, Liu Kang, giant character. This guy has no presence. I put 38 minutes into this movie. I wrote down, we're doomed. Let me give you an example of we're doomed. First of all, Raiden meets the champions for the first time. He said something along the lines with, what kind of bullshit is this? These aren't no fucking blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no shit, Raiden. You got Cole, who you end up sending home. We'll get into that. Kano's capable, but we're really downplaying Kano here. He should be maybe kind of involved with a little bit more something at this point. They go to Raiden's. This is my example of doom. They're at Raiden. They try to have Shang Tsung and them sneak up on them, remember? And Raiden swoops in on what I call was potentially going to be maybe your first good part of the movie. So Shang Tsung comes in, and he's got his boys with him. He's got the Outworld crew, and they're about to get into a little mingle, right? Finally, an encounter we could get excited about. And what does Raven do? What does Raiden do? The only thing that he did all movie was make portals or avenues, maybe occasionally do a little lightning. We've been waiting for an encounter all movie. They decided on the first encounter, after all this excitement, we're going to have Raiden do the force field, which turned out to be one of the dumbest things I've seen, and I'm going to dive into that. Lazy writing. It's just the typical patterns of these writers. And the writers are so lazy. They had Raiden say at some point in the movie, oh, I can't interfere for whatever dumb reasons. This movie's not good enough to not have you interfere. We need you. Why can't we finally focus on Raiden? You had two white guys play him in the original movies, and that was embarrassing. Awful. At least this guy looked the part. They didn't have the lines for him. No one-liners. Screwing up on Raiden as far as I'm concerned. How strong is this movie getting? The more and more I talk. We need the Shang Tsung and Raiden encounter to mean something. We need to tease battles down the line. Another thing this movie needs to be punished for severely is Liu Kang's and Kung Lao's opening scene of the movie. We all know what they did. Two characters at this magnitude, considering the directors are getting ready to one-off Kung Lao, and we've never been introduced to Kung Lao on the movie set. These are two guys that are kind of going to be the backbones of your team when that time comes. They need to have an opening scene that we remember. I need to be like, man, that Liu Kang Kung Lao scene, They sold these guys short. It would have been a good introduction. The Liu Kang actor, not a big fan of. I didn't have enough time to evaluate Kung Lao because you see what they did with him. But those guys gotta have an opening scene, a fight scene, or them in a situation helping the champions out, or something that encounter they get into with people from Outworld. I need to remember what they did scene one. This is just another example of when you think this movie did a lot of things right. Look at all the people they shortchanged. They let the fans down here. We want to see our guys in action. They decided to play silly games with us at times with these characters. Think about this. Think about what they're getting ready to do to Kung Lao, which was, oh God, we'll get there. He's a one and done. And we're not even going to give him an opening. We're just going to give him like a little hat flick. Have him arguing with Kano to get his power out. I got no problem with Kano's getting his power out, but let's make that scene a little bit more than we're just kind of like poking the bear. Let's have something happen. That force field, it made no sense. It made the movie boring. And here's the other, Raiden, what are they training for in that temple? I don't get it. We're here for the training. I understand the concept that they got these tattoos and everybody's trying to find their secret power or their inner side. But what I don't get is they show them training and Cole's in a mud pit with Kung Lao and they're doing karate. It really looked like a Cobra Kai episode. What are we training here? We're having Kung Lao teach Cole karate? Let's call a spade a spade. Are we expecting much from Sonya? We got to figure out how to get Jack his shit going. Why does it have to be done in pit training? Like, think about this. They were fighting in a pit. There's a part where Kano's just wailing on Cole. He's getting his ass beaten. He's like, I can't do it. You can't do what? What's going on here, Raiden? Is the training they're getting their powers beat out of them? This training made no sense. Remember when Sonya was trying to give Cole, you want to watch something really fucked up? There's a part where Sonya, before they go to the desert, is explaining to Cole her version of Mortal Kombat. Go listen to that, and you tell me where this movie is. They're in the tent. They're training. Every time it showed them training, get rid of that. That didn't have to be there. Kano didn't have to be there. Focus should have been on the Jack story, getting him ready, wanting to go against Sub-Zero again. Obviously, that's not going to be the final battle. You're going to want Scorpion and Sub-Zero. You got to want Jax mad about his goddamn fucking arm. And then when he finally gets that power, look, Jax discovered his power when he was picking up a rock to save Sonya. Yay! Well, let me guess, Raiden? That had to do with the train? Why'd we have to call this training? Liu Kang was walking around the place like it's a goddamn YMCA. You know what I mean? Drinking, not doing shit. There should have been more scenes taking place in Outworld. It's Mortal Kombat. Too much focus on two wrong humans when you had a lot of scenes with Sonya and a lot of scenes with Cole. The actor that played Shang Tsung, I don't know, man. I think the guy who was in the first one, he had the look. If you go head for head, Jay, go look at it. Tell me what you think. Head for head, this movie wasn't ready to make Shang Tsung a character. Think of his opening scene. He's walking around like Emperor Palpatine, for Christ's sakes. Don't got him doing shit. Build your character. Show Shang Tsung getting guys together for the tournament. The worst part of this film would absolutely kill this, hands down. And you should be a goddamn shame to yourself. The worst scene and the worst idea, I don't even think it's even close. Worst part of this fucking film is the Goro fight. For many reasons. You had the Prince in your film as a one and done? The Cole? The Golden Boy? Are you kidding? Think about that, folks. You still got potentially a Mortal Kombat coming in part 2. How are you gonna have Cole? Raiden sends Cole home, right? Get the fuck out of here. You were right about him, Raiden. Look, Raiden can see everything, but he's always telling everyone they're fucking pieces of shit. They suck. You're right. I mean, dude, we're recruiting, Raiden. What are we doing up here? And if you could see the future, you know Kano is getting ready to shoot a red fireball at the most generic movie force field ever. Hands down, no contest. Cole was awful. They send Cole packing. He goes home there. Goro shows up there. I'm like, oh no, they're not. Please don't. I knew as soon as Goro was going to show up at Cole's house, here comes Cole's power. Goro is too important of a character to lose to a rookie such as Cole. That's laziness to get us to like Cole. And we're not liking Cole. It seems like all these guys got to do to get their powers, even though they went to Raiden's cave to train. What did that training do? It's just like, oh, well, Cole's parents or his family was in danger and he got his power and he's going to take out Goro. Thought it'd be a little bit smoother than what they showed us. Kind of fastly paced, improper. This was a killer as far as I was concerned. If these guys got mad enough or scared enough or the situation popped up where they were done, they got the powers. They wasted training on that. They called it training. You're training. You didn't train them shit, Raiden. Don't give me that shit. And writers, don't tell me Cole got training. Don't give me that shit. Why'd you guys waste our time? That training shit should have never existed. You got Raiden opening up portals and making force fields like he's a goddamn leprechaun. He's an important character. We need to hint some battles. We need to tease some things. You kill Goro. This is the prince. How are you gonna kill Goro without at least having a Goro scene? Think about all the bullshit they put in this film. Could have Goro smash a dude or two, or maybe at least not kill him. You writers prepared to just go do a movie and look at yourselves without Goro? But here's how they cleaned up for it. Sub-Zero and Goro die. Shang Tsung comes on and says a line that was ridiculous. It's how they cover for a dumb move that they made. So I'm guessing the writers, so Shang Tsung comes in, Sub-Zero is dead. You hear Shang Tsung say, death just opens another portal. Shows like Sub-Zero disappear and then it shows the Goro body disappear. Basically these writers said, you know what? Hey, we'll just kill a couple big, characters, right? Just a need for the second movie. We're not prepared to write without him, so we'll just have Shang Tsung throw him in an ashtray and bring him back. At least Goro will be in the second movie, I could say, but their reasoning for that, they did enough for you to be mad at him. And back on one of the biggest disappointments of this movie, our buddy Cole. Acting, come on. This guy, he looked lost at times. He was getting his ass beat in a dirt pit. He lost his opening MMA fight. Sonya was piecing him up. You could have focused on Scorpion. That's what this movie should have been focused about. Their little thing. We don't need Cole here. Okay? If you want to hint Cole, make him, that's the reason Scorpion comes out looking for Sub-Zero, for revenge, and he's going after the end of the family. You don't have to make Cole world beater yet. You can say, well, maybe one day he's going to have it. You can make question around Cole. Don't make him your focus. Took out Goro, as far as I'm concerned, failure of a movie at that point. There's not much you could do, but potentially maybe do a couple interesting fight scenes, which not really, other than Scorpion and what's his name? No music, nothing to get us into it. They didn't really tease much potential battles in part 2. We just got to hypothetically guess that. Fights were a letdown. I love it when Sonya and Kano have a ending fight scene. But here's a character that deserved to look good, arguably being the one guy you need to bring back. I would have killed Cole. That's what I would have did. I'll tell you when I would have did it too. And I'll tell you a little spin I'd put on the movie. And you tell me, those watching at home, Shady, Tim, if you're there, you tell me how this sounds instead of shit they did. Raiden sends Cole home, right? You have Cole get his power. Oh shit, right? Instead of him taking out Goro, you have Goro take Cole out to infuriate Scorpion. And then you make it about Scorpion wanting to get revenge for his family being gone, or situations where it's on him to keep Cole alive. This movie would have been way stronger as Scorpion as a focus than Cole. Even if Cole's character was great, like I have said many times, the words they gave him, the interest he gained as the movie went on was not good. And that gave you a great reason to kill Cole. Cole was not ready for all the responsibilities they gave him, especially the writers. But this is the full swerve I would throw on the movie. You could either kill Cole there, or you could do something along the lines like this. Cole at the end, Sub-Zero gets his family. Now Scorpion gets into it with Sub-Zero. We knew Sub-Zero kidnapped the family. You have a good battle with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. If you interfere Cole, have Cole kind of get his ass beat. Scorpion see it, where Scorpion wants to save Cole. So here's where the swerve part comes in. They're going at it. They cut to a scene with Shang Tsung. He's got the son and the mother. That's when Shang Tsung gives Scorpion an ultimatum. Says, join me and fight alongside of me and be one of my warriors. We'll let this family go. You could have wrote some shit like that. Had a swerve where you see Scorpion at the end, he has no choice. He's got to join Shang Tsung. They're like, no, don't do it. Shang Tsung's like, kneel. You have Scorpion getting a few battles, though. You have him show himself. The ultimatum is for the family to go and save Cole because he is your descendant. Figure it out later. Cole should have never been that good. You have Sonya kill Kano and then she supposedly gets her powers. I don't know what that makes her because she was a failure. Yeah, I would have killed Cole. Sonya, there's a line she says. I wrote this down. They're all together. It's right after they're getting ready to go after Shang Tsung. She says, so what's our plan? I'm thinking to myself, I would have shocked that. If I was Raiden, I would have zapped her and been like, put her up. There's nothing she could. Get her out of here. Quit overselling her. Because she was the original character in the video game. Swinging a strong miss with Sonya. Remember when Melina tastes her blood and goes, you're a human. Oh, in the training dojo. What are we training for down here, Raiden? You have Kung Lao doing karate. You have Kung Lao doing karate with Cole, who lost his opening. Raiden, what are we expecting here, too, by the way, Raiden? Cole lost his opening MMA fight. Sonya put him in the dirt. He looks awkward, and he's powerless at the moment. That was ridiculous, the training. And then how about this? Oh, God, this was another head. I wanted to, doing their karate. Cole gets like a punch on Kung Lao, right? Like a punch on him, and Kung falls down. And Liu Kang just goes, you know what I mean? Like he was like fucking shocked. Well, to be fair, yeah, I'm kind of shocked too that we got fucking Cole, an MMA guy doing karate, powerless, versus Kung Lao. And we would even hint that, oh shit, look, you got to move on. No, he wouldn't have a chance at him. So that training should not exist, period. Trying to get you guys to be legends in training, that made no sense because all you guys did when you trained was karate. What, we're supposed to expect Cole and like it is going to learn karate from Kung Lao and then like maybe get over on him? As a fan base had been waiting for Kung Lao. We haven't been waiting for Cole. Why the fuck are you gonna call him Cole? Scorpion Sub-Zero fight, it's great. Get music there. You have Cole stab Sub-Zero. There's a line. Oh, yeah. Here's my other favorite thing about Cole. It's almost like the writers forget shit. They're talking about, and this is dumb, Jack says, how are we gonna take out Sub-Zero? Jack, your line should have been right there. I want Sub-Zero or something along that, make it sound like blah, blah, blah. Cole had no business being in that goddamn battle at the end. No business. Took away from both. Attempt to make Cole this guy that we're not getting into. I didn't even understand his powers. Cole was awful for this movie. You needed Johnny Cage. You needed to minimize Sonya's role. You needed to eliminate Cole. If you want Cole to exist, that's fine. I would have turned Scorpion into his, like I said, into a slave. Had him join the other guys, getting this big tournament ready. They did do a good job selling Mortal Kombat for the other one. You got Cole laughing and giggling and shit. And then, here's an example of a line I don't get. We're going to take Sub-Zero out as a team after Jack said, how are we going to handle Sub-Zero? Cole, you just took Goro out. What do you mean we're going to take fucking Sub-Zero as a team? What? Talk about a guy we're supposed to get into. Everybody should want to take him out one-on-one. And then if that's not how it goes, that's not how it goes. But Cole goes, we'll do it as a team. When Shang Tsung sees Cole after the Goro fight, Shang Tsung says a line, he goes, impossible. I was thinking the same fucking shit, bro. Me and Shang Tsung were on the same goddamn page. Shang Tsung had no great moment. Think about this. These writers knew Kung Lao was going to be a one-off. You didn't even give him a meaningful death. Listen what these bastards did. Hey, Kung Lao. We're probably going to have Shang Tsung kill Kung Lao. You know, we heard that happens in one. Yeah, no, I got an idea. We'll do, you know what? We'll keep it simple. We'll just do a force grab, right? Our version of the force grab. And have him suck his soul out and do some cool color. Folks, that's what they did. They did that. This movie was prostituting characters, showing us what we wanted, and they didn't even know how to do it. They lazily wrote the character. They knew they had to lose Kung Lao, and instead of having a nice go-away scene, maybe have him run into Shang Tsung somehow. Even though, I mean, there's portals everywhere, and they're in these goddamn stupid-ass mountains, which they shouldn't have been fighting. No way. Fuck you guys doing? You're getting lazy. Quick. Shang Tsung's lair. Very lazy. Not memorable. Looked like a giant green screen painted red. Definition of lazy. You have Shang Tsung do a force grab to Kung Lao instead of having a noteworthy scene between the two, and you... Kung Lao's just getting sucked and this green shit's coming out of him. He doesn't look good at all. And this is a very important character. Think of how memorable, if it was his only fight scene, how you could have made it. Could have made it a turning piece of the movie, or at least something to get happy about. Kung fucking Lao. Somebody who we've been waiting for. Somebody who you could have had go into the other movie. But if you know as a writer we're wanting off Kung Lao, goddamn, let's Let's donate a chunk of this movie to them. They'll remember that instead of what you did. More laziness by New Line Cinema. Hard for me to like this film at all. Hard for me to strongly get into the second one when I know all the bumps and know this is going to be Rocky and Liu Kang looks like shit. You had some positive, and this is a movie that I kind of root for. In the movies that are still worth rooting for nowadays, I like stories like this. But the bottom line is, a guy like me should not be watching your film and see just so much more cooler shit you could have did. And you had the capability. Was it better than the first film? This one was prepared to be better. Too much lack of scoring. I don't really put any movie over each other. But the music in the fight scenes, that goes a long way with me. Ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude episode 2 of Brutal Breakdown, Mortal Kombat 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we definitely will see you next time. Shout out to Shady J and the Game Chase.